topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, America. Welcome to another Ask the Experts, where we bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We have got for the next 50 minutes an incredible show. It's actually one of my favorites. They have been with us for about 10 years, and I have so much faith in this company. And what's so special about it is, if you've got tax problems, we know that has to weigh on you. It affects your whole life, what's going to happen to you. And here's a company, the company's called Taxation Solutions. Here's a company that has literally helped thousands of people when it comes to the IRS. And just knowing and having the confidence in this company, because I got to tell you, and he would never say this, there's a lot of bad taxation companies out there. And this one right here, Taxation Solutions, means so much to this show. Let me introduce you to Barry Fowler. He's the president and founder of Taxation Solutions, Inc. He's what's called an enrolled agent, licensed to represent taxpayers before the IRS. His experience in tax and finance industry literally spans over 30 years, and he does tax resolution, tax planning, tax return preparation, and I'm just so blessed to have him not only as one of our experts, but as a friend. Good morning, Barry.
Hey, good morning, Steve. It's always a pleasure to be here. When you messaged me yesterday and said, "Hey, will you come on to this program tomorrow morning and do this national program?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump on this and get more information out to people and help them get out from under the burden they have of tax debt or even some tax problems, even going through audits and." Having to deal with that is just a nightmare. So the more information we can get out, the more we can do to help people and solve their tax problems.
Barry, people have written us saying they like it when I kind of talk about what's going on with the show, and 99% of our shows are targeted to just locals, whether it's by city or state. But with Barry's show, I wanted it to be throughout the country, because you can literally work with anybody, just about anybody in any city, any state. And because of what you do, Barry, and how you help your clients, I wanted this to be a national show. And that's why we're here today. And again, I just want to tell you, there's not a time that goes by where I don't thank my lucky stars that we have Taxation Solutions as our expert.
Well, I appreciate that. And as you and I've always talked, is helping people is what got us into this business, and doing the things the right way is what keeps us in the business and keeps our A+ rating at the BBB. We treat customers just like we want to be treated ourselves if we were in their shoes. We want to be able to take that monkey off their back, which is the IRS, and put it on our back and let us carry the load for them so that, they can go about living their life without having to look over their shoulder or worry whether that big old monkey, the IRS, is pulling cash out of their pockets, out of their bank accounts, and that's what we're here to do.
Barry, what do you tell potential clients? Because I've noticed on some of the texts that I get, people are embarrassed, they're ashamed. Some of them are even worried about, is this going to bring the IRS out on them? What do you tell a potential client who's really feeling embarrassed about the situation they're in?
Well, first thing we start off with, we tell them, hey, this is a no judgment zone. We're not passing judgment on you. We're not here to tell you that you were wrong, you were bad, or, this happens. I mean, life happens. Every day you go through life and things will happen that you've got to deal with and you got to move on from. Here in this case, we're not going to pass judgment on you. We're going to help you through the situation. We're going to help you to be able to get some sleep at night. And not just you, but if you're married, your spouse, they've got to be worried just as much as you are. I can't imagine owing the IRS, $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $1 million, whatever that number happens to be. I couldn't imagine looking every day to find out whether or not the IRS, levied your bank account or not. You got to go in and, now everybody has, their smartphone and check your apps to find out, what your bank balance is or get notified that now you have nothing in your account. Well, that's what we want to prevent. You don't need to wake up in the morning, worried, is the IRS levying my bank account? Am I going to be able to pay my bills? What are they going to, take from me now? You need to get past your fear of disclosing this information. Call us, and we make it really, really simple. We give you that free consultation, that free phone call. You just have to dial the 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. It's a no judgment zone, free consultation. Let us talk about, what's going on, what the problem is. Don't ignore the IRS letters and let's get moving to give you your life back and not having to worry, not lose sleep. Let us step into the shoes and take care of it from here.
Barry, you're listed as an enrolled agent. A lot of people don't know what an enrolled agent does. Can you explain that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, people across America think, it's CPAs and tax attorneys and stuff like that are the ones that deal with the tax problem. No, it's enrolled agents know more about taxes than anybody else working in the tax industry, because this is what we specialize in. An enrolled agent is actually licensed by the U.S. Department of Treasury to represent you, the taxpayer, all the way to the highest levels of the IRS. And so what we concentrate on is taxes and you. So we've got to know this inside and out. When we became enrolled agents, majority of us are tested, and we have to pass an extensive test. And then we got to go through a wonderful FBI background check to be able to get our license, to be able to practice. And then we've got to maintain continuing education. And it's all based around taxes, not accounting or bookkeeping or law. It's all based purely around taxes and how we can basically help you through the system, save you money on your tax problem or your tax debt or your IRS audit, and be able to help you and assist you, the taxpayer, to get back on your feet.
Barry, when you get a call from a potential client, can you walk us through a little bit what that entails once they've contacted you?
Yeah, so we're going to start asking questions, and some of the questions you're going to go, I don't really want to answer because I'm ashamed of, what we've got going on. Remember, this is a no judgment zone. But basically, we're going to find out, what your tax debt is, what the IRS is saying your tax debt is. It doesn't make them right. It just makes them the IRS. We're going to find out if you have any tax years to be filed. We've got clients that call us that haven't filed for 2, 3, 5, 7 years, whatever it is. We're going to get that information out from you. And we're going to also find out, what do you have? Assets, equity in your house, IRAs, 401ks, retirement plans, other property, you name it. We're going to find it out from you. We want you to be completely honest with us, because what we're trying to do is establish what we're going to do for you and what we can do for you. If you're hiding something from us, we can't help you protect it. If you're trying to hide something from the IRS, they're going to find it. I can almost guarantee it. They also have records of, you may have sold or given away vehicles within the last 3 to 5 years or something. And they're going to ask about those old vehicles. Where are they now? What did you do with them? So we're here to kind of prod you through all of this so we can put a program together that's going to be right for you and is going to be with the right information. And we're going to get more specifics once you become a client, but it helps us get a baseline to say, hey, this is what we think we can do based on what you're telling us. So we want you to kind of give us everything that we're asking for so that we can kind of talk you through it. And we may have to defer what we're going to do for you until after we file tax returns. Or maybe we've got to do a transcript analysis first to find out what the IRS is really talking about and what they're coming after. Because the IRS says, hey, you owe $50,000, $100,000, $150,000. But some of it could be substitute for returns where they filed returns on your behalf and you owe a lot more than you really should. And we need to bring that debt down by filing the actual returns. So we have a lot of options, a lot of tools in our shed, so to say, or in our arsenal to defeat the IRS, bring that debt down and make it a realistic debt, or make the debt go away in total.
Hey, Barry, we get a few calls. People are concerned about money they've won in a casino that they didn't declare. I mean, the IRS is going to find out about that, right?
Well, sometimes. I mean, if you've won money and you've gotten that form from the casino saying, hey, you have all these gambling winnings and everything else, yeah, that's got to be reported. We've had a few clients that will come in with those forms and will be one right after the other, and we've got to go through and itemize each one of those gambling winnings out there. And then the unfortunate part, you're only able to deduct losses for each event and only up to the winnings for that event. So it's not, every single total time you've been gambling out there and losing money is it deductible. And then we've got to go through all the different forms and stuff. So yes, you do have to pay the taxes out. Hopefully, if you have winnings, if they're really large, hopefully it's good and you kept some money aside to pay the taxes on it. If you've had small winnings, you're not going to get any tax forms from the casinos because they're not going to care. It's not meeting the threshold. So if you go there and gamble and you win a little bit, nobody's going to really care. Now, you're supposed to report it. Yes, they say you're supposed to report all income.
Right. There. Barry, you've been doing this for a long time and you've got so much experience dealing with the IRS. What has all this experience taught you?
That it's fun. We have fun doing this. And the reason we have fun doing this is because I like winning. And I have a high track record of winning. But realistically, the IRS is not always right. There's ways we can go through and fix problems that most places don't think about fixing first. We realize you as a taxpayer are not always going to be in compliance, and sometimes we've got to work around knowing that, and we've got to put you in the best situation for you as our client to save you as much money as possible. So whether that's penalty abatements, whether it's filing tax returns and making it the correct numbers, whether it's doing the offering compromise, doing the installment plan, or doing a partial pay installment plan, or just putting you in non-collectible. It's things that we do. And I always tell people this, in my mind, I am a great plumber. I am a fantastic electrician. But my wife, for some reason, after I finish doing something, will have a true electrician come out and fix it, and it costs us twice as much. Because invariably, no matter what I think I can do, I screw it up and I make the matters worse. So sometimes using an enrolled agent, using us at taxationsolutions.net, we're the ones that can fix the problems and solve it. Where sometimes you as a taxpayer get in there and you make a bigger mess, and now it costs you twice as much for us to come in and bail you out and fix it. It's kind of like that boat you have out there on the lake, and it has a small hole. You think you can go in there and fix it, and you make a bigger problem, and now you're just bailing water. Well, now you got to have us, come in and pull that boat out, put it up high on the dock and fix it. Well, that's the same thing we get with tax problems. You start getting in, you make a bigger mess, and now all of a sudden you got more water in that boat than you know what to do with. Let's bail it out and let us come in and fix it. So in doing this and fighting the IRS, it's been about 40 years here that I've been doing this stuff and teaching other enrolled agents and tax attorneys and CPAs how to, beat the IRS and how to stop the IRS. It's using us here at Taxation Solutions going to give you the best chance to fight them, to stop them, get the right plan in place. We're not here just selling offering compromises. We're not here just selling, cookie cutters. We're here selling a program that is going to be right and tailored around you and what you truly qualify for. And sometimes, you and I have talked about this. When you call some of these other places that are out there, they're going to give you that pipe dream. Everybody loves to live the dream. If a bank or somebody tells you can afford a bigger house, you're going to go out and do it. And then all of a sudden you're in over your head. Sometimes that dream isn't the right dream for you. You need a little bit of a dose of reality and to say, hey, this is what you actually qualify for based on IRS rules and everything that we know and everything we can do within the whole rule book of the IRS, and to put the right solution in place for you. Thus, we are Taxation Solutions, because we don't have just one solution. We have many solutions in that arsenal to satisfy your tax debt.
Barry, I have learned so much from doing the show with you. One of the things I think is so important is people who think that they can try to work, talk to the IRS themselves. First of all, try getting them on the phone. That's the first thing. But even if you do, I think that what really screws things up is people end up telling the IRS agents the wrong thing. Whereas if they would have retained your services, you know what to say and what not to say. And so, I know you get probably new clients that have tried to handle this themselves, but really should have secured your services much earlier.
Well, we talk about this, with our clients. Once you hire us, we step in your shoes and you never have to deal with the IRS. But we get people that'll tell us, "Oh, I can just do this myself. It's really easy." We had a client that told us that, hey, this is too easy. I'm going to do it. And all of a sudden they've got themselves into a payment plan they can't afford. The IRS said, this is all we can do and you've got to do it. We've also had clients where they're going to deal with it themselves. And all of a sudden the IRS is demanding every single dime they have in their bank account. They happen to have, $5,000 or $10,000 in there, and they have a $15,000 debt, and all of a sudden the IRS is wanting everything they've got. And that's what we're trying to do, is put it in the best situation for you. If you can afford to pay that much, fine, pay it. I'll be the first one. It cuts down on interest and penalties, but if you can't afford to pay them, don't get in over your head. Don't tell them stuff that, they don't need to know quite yet, or put it in the wrong light. You may be self-employed out there, and you may have, let's say $20,000 a month coming in revenue. Well, it doesn't mean that's your net income, but you may answer the question wrong. And now the IRS wants, $1,000 a month from you on a $200,000 debt you can't afford to pay. And then you agree to it because you have to, or you feel like you have to. And the next thing you know, they're levying your bank account because you can't make payments anymore. You've put yourself in that situation. We know how to deal with them, how to answer the questions. And some of the questions they may ask us, we can defer because we don't have to have the knowledge right then and there to explain it to them. Sometimes we've got to find a way to put it in a better light that helps you. And that's what we're going to work to do. Or we need to change your financial situation. We may look at your situation and say, okay, the IRS says, hey, you can afford to pay this. But maybe you're driving an old vehicle and it'd be better for you to buy a vehicle, and it lowers the IRS payment. So it's kind of like the IRS paying for your new car. There's a lot of different things that we can go through and do. And I don't recommend anybody jumping out and doing any of this stuff until you sit down and do a financial analysis with us to determine, hey, what's the right thing or the best thing to do? How is it going to save you more money based on the IRS rules? And then the IRS goes by national standards. When you go into an offering compromise, they'll go into a modified national standard and some of what you can also deduct if you're going to go into a payment plan or a partial pay installment agreement. So we know how to work within those rules to make it better. But like people do all the time, I think I can handle this myself. Well, now they're in over their head. A lot of times it's, not just 1 hour on the phone waiting for them. It's 2 or 3. Sometimes it's 2 hours into it and the phone system hangs up.
Yes.
That's the best one. And so, yes, it's easy to do if you know what you're doing. But it's years and years of experience that sets us apart in dealing with the IRS. And even us dealing with the IRS, I'll sit on hold, even though I've got a priority line to get into the IRS, and I'll sit on hold for an hour or maybe even 2 hours at times, waiting for them to get with us. And then even then I get these new agents that are out there that have no clue what they're doing, and I've got to teach. So I'm now into a teaching program as well. So, it's a lot of fun what we do. I don't recommend it. One of those things of doing it yourselves. I recommend you hire somebody that has the knowledge to go out and do it. And that starts with a free phone call, free consultation right here at taxationsolutions.net. 877-996-6477. I try to get this number out as much as possible. I know people might be driving and listening to this. You can catch us after this on YouTube. You said it's up on Twitter and now on TikTok. What else do we have out there, Steve?
iHeart
Podcast. There we go. And come to our Facebook page at Taxation Solutions, Tax Relief, and you'll be able to see this because I'll post this up there too, so you can get over to it on YouTube and iHeart and everything else.
Perry, we got a text from Shelly in St. Louis. I'm really enjoying the show. How do you keep your clients from setting up for failure when you promise to make payments that you might not be able to make down the road?
Well, that's some show that we've got to discuss, and we're going to sit down and discuss your financial situation and find out what's happening in your life. Because one, I don't know how old you are, but you could be close to retirement. And so, we need to figure out what you're going to do and how it's going to look in retirement. We need to sit down and look at your financial situation so that we can put a program in place that's going to meet your needs. And it could be that right now, and maybe you're younger and you're going to be working for many years, that we may be able to put you into a partial pay installment agreement and save you a lot of money, but it's a payment that you can afford. Better yet, if you qualify for that offer and compromise, maybe we're reducing that debt and getting you down to a very low amount. And then what we want to do is keep you on a monitoring system to where we can monitor you as a taxpayer every single quarter to make sure that you're going to be in compliance, to make sure that you're not going to have any problems and you haven't been set up for failure out there either. So we're here to help you and guide you, because those offer and compromises come with a 5-year compliance requirement. So we want to make sure that, hey, if we settled your $250,000 worth of debt for $10,000 or $25,000 or $5,000, whatever the number is, that we don't want that debt to come flying back to you, within 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, until we get through that compliance stage. And the reason we did that, many, many years ago, we had a guy come in and he was not one of our clients, but had an offer and compromise accepted. And it happened to be about $250,000 worth of debt. And they had settled it for, I don't know, 25 or 50,000. So the guy was, really happy. And he was 4 years, 10 months into his offer and compromise program. And he forgot to file his extension. And he owed some tax debt. And he filed a month late. And the IRS kicked his offer and compromise out. All the $250,000 worth of debt came flying back on him. So not only was he responsible for that $250,000 worth of debt, but it also accumulates interest and accumulated any penalties. And now he was well into the $300,000. And unfortunately for him, he was now making good money in the 6-figure range and could afford to pay it. Statute of limitations also stop when you have that offer filed. And so he still had plenty of years to pay this tax debt, and now could only be on a program to where he had to be on an installment agreement and pay it over a period of time. Now, if he'd have been on our compliance program, we would have said, hey, look, get this extension filed. We would have made sure he filed his taxes. We would have been doing tax planning with him and said, hey, make sure you've got your tax payments in. Make sure you made your estimated tax payments, the whole works. So we help you dot your I's and cross your T's to make sure that what we're able to successfully put in place for you stays in place as long as you continue to listen to us and stay in compliance with those tax laws and the rules. And remember, tax laws change. And, we've been under a wonderful tax law right now for the last, 5, 6, 7 years out there since they put the Trump tax laws in place. Come after 2025, who knows what's going to happen with the tax laws, because these go away and the other ones come back. So we'll see what happens, but that's part of our compliance program that we put in place.
Barry, we just got a text from a new listener who found the show. I am really enjoying the show. I am concerned because I am on a fixed income and I owe some back taxes. Can they go after my Social Security?
Yes, they can. Believe it or not, they levy Social Security on you. Now, depending on how much money you owe, first off, I'll tell you, hey, call us. Right now, 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. Let us talk about the problem. You're on Social Security, you're on a fixed income. What we will probably look at doing for you, depending on assets and everything else you've got out there, is possibly looking at a non-collectible status where it puts your debt off there on the side. The IRS isn't going to come after you to collect it. They're not going to levy your bank account. They're not going to levy your Social Security. It'll sit there until the statute of limitations run out, unless your situation changes. But again, just because I said that, I mean, if you've got other major assets out there, 401ks, IRAs, we've got to look very closely at this to make sure that we're putting the right program in place. So like I said, don't just jump on the phone and call the IRS and say, hey, Barry Fowler, Taxation Solutions says I can get a non-collectible status. That is what we would be shooting for, but we've got to do it in the right way. Otherwise, the IRS could come after other assets that you have. So let us put the program out there, for you to stop the IRS collections. It's really hard to get them to stop a Social Security levy on your income. We've managed to do it, but it makes a lot more work for us when we're having to do that, and they've actually levied your Social Security wages.
Barry, we've been doing the show for a long time, and like I said at the beginning of the show, I've learned so much from you. And we hope that, God, if we can just touch one person during this show, tell people, and I know you don't like to do this, but tell people some of the things you've achieved over the years for your clients.
Well, each situation is different, and we get very excited about every solution that we put in place because it's the right solution for each of our clients. And, just because we talk about offers and compromises where, somebody came in with, $55,000 worth of debt, we're able to settle it for, less than, $1,000. It's not the right one for everybody. We got one in this week that was John, and he was actually over in Atlanta, and we did a partial pay installment agreement. So for the next 3 years, he's paying about $125 a month on about $133,870 debt. So it's going to wipe out a lot of the debt as long as he can make those payments over the next few years. Now, we structured it that way because when we did the transcript analysis for him, he was close to the statute of limitations. So us doing an offer and compromise wasn't really the right way to go when we could settle this for less or almost the same doing a partial pay installment agreement for him. And so that was, very, very successful. Now, in the next 4 months for him, he's going to have about $50,000 go away because the statutes will run out in a couple of years. And the statute of limitations on tax is 10 years from when it's assessed. And so, he's been down the path for a long way. So us doing an offer and compromise would have stopped statute of limitations. And then he would have had to make sure he was in compliance for the next, 5 years. So as long as he makes payments for the next 4 months, the IRS isn't going to levy or try to take anything from him. He's going to pay his $125 a month, and then $50,000 is going away. And then another year and a half, I think it was, he's got more money going away. And then at the end of the 3 years, almost all of it's going to be gone away. So, it was a nice program that worked for him. Just like your last text message we got about Social Security, we've had people that have had come to us over Social Security, and we've managed to take and put them, even though they had other assets out there, we were able to protect those assets and put them into a non-collectible status to where the IRS isn't going to mess with them until after the statute of limitations run out, and we keep them in compliance, going from there. So each situation is different. I love when we get offers and compromises and settlements for, a lower amount, whether it's, 5%, 10%, whatever the number is. Not everybody's going to be extremely happy with me, But I've taken clients that have owned, $1 million, and we've settled it for $250,000. And, they're not extremely happy because they wanted it down to that, 5 or 10,000 because they saw ads out there from people saying, hey, people can do this. Each situation is different, but saving 75%, saving 80%, saving 90%, any of those numbers is a fantastic number out there for you. And put it this way, as I've tried to talk somebody through this, if we go out there and able to save you, even 50,000, even 20,000, how long does it take you to earn that kind of money? A lot of people, it takes a long time to put that kind of money aside and earn it. Once we put a program in place, you can start saving money for your retirement. You can start saving money for the other things out there because we've got it under control now. We've got the IRS where you needed to be to go back to start living your life and making money. And that's the beautiful part about it.
We got a text from, we get a lot of texts from Hawaii, Barry. You have representation in Hawaii?
Hey, funny story. I've been to Hawaii now twice. First time my wife and I were out there, and I always laughed because I hadn't had a client in Hawaii. I had a client in Alaska. I've had them in all the continental U.S., but not in Hawaii. Well, when I was out in Hawaii, we got our first Hawaiian client. Matter of fact, it made me start looking at, hey, maybe we needed a remote office out here so I can come out here and visit more often. And then I got 2 or 3 that came from Hawaii right after we were out there, visiting in Hawaii. And I did a radio show out there as well in Hawaii while I was there. So it was really nice. And then I went back with family a few years later. And we actually got more clients when we were out there in Hawaii and got invited back to another radio program. So, we help everybody. And if you're an American taxpayer watching this, and I don't care where you are in the world, because you could be traveling overseas and still have tax problems, you can call us. We can deal with helping you with your tax problem, regardless. But again, I try to get this number out as much as possible. It begins with that free consultation, that free phone call at 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. And I know I've been doing radio and TV programs for years, but sometimes I forget we got to get the numbers out to get people to call to help you. Because, that's the only way. We don't make outbound phone calls to market you like some of these other people do.
Yes.
We're not, here just trying to scam you. And I say this because I was out on the ranch the other day and I got a phone call from somebody that was telling me that I had tax debt. I'm like, okay, I got to play along with this, hey, a little bit. Yeah, I think I saw one of those IRS letters, but I never opened it. I just filed that away, in that circular file over there. Yeah. And, and so these people, are out there and they're not IRS agents. They're not enrolled agents. They're just solicitors. Hang up. If you know you got a tax debt, just hang up on them. Call the real people to handle this. Call us here at taxationsolutions.net. And if you don't want to make the phone call to us and you want us to call you, you go to our webpage, hit contact us now. Even go to Facebook. You can set up a time and we'll call you. We can have that meeting with you to talk about your tax problem. But you've got to take the initiative to handle your problem. You've got to man up and say, hey, I really want to deal with this and get the IRS off my back. And just, feel free, make that free call, free consultation at 877-996-6477. No judgment zone. Let us figure out what's going to be the best way to help solve your tax debt.
Well, the person from Hawaii once said he had heard that if you don't make enough money, you don't have to file.
Well, that is true. I mean, if you're under the thresholds, you don't have to file. What I tell people is this: you should file it anyway. I even tell people that are on just Social Security to file, because if the IRS sometime somewhere has out on you some income that maybe you got a 1099, a W-2 that you weren't aware of, you start the statute of limitations of running. And therefore, anything that they come back with, they're going to assess it. Your statutes have already been running. You've already filed. You can't have somebody come back to you and say, we're going to file this tax return. You know that it's correct. I tell people this, and people that I've put in compliance programs will file a $1 tax return if they're only on Social Security, just to make sure that they file. We want to make sure that you're staying in compliance, especially if you're on a program with the IRS on either paying it back, offering compromise, non-collectible status, all that. We want to make sure that you've dotted your I's, crossed your T's, and stay out there. Even if you have not enough income coming in, I tell you to file. You may have gotten a W-2 for a couple of $1,000. File the tax return. There's a lot of places out there you can do free file now, so just file them and get them done. If you've got 1099 income and maybe your net income from that job says, hey, you didn't make enough money, or maybe you lost money, you need to file, because the IRS has that 1099, and that is reported income. And if they file for you, you don't get any of your expenses. So we ask you to go through and do that, take a look at that situation, but that's what we always believe in.
Barry, what other options does a taxpayer have if they don't qualify for offering compromise?
Well, the first one is the installment agreement. And if you're going into an installment agreement, it could be a full pay installment agreement. It could be a stepped installment agreement where you start lower and you have to move up next year to a higher amount based on your situation. It could be a partial pay installment agreement where you're paying less than what you owe in a smaller monthly payment. It could be non-collectible status out there. But what we always like to look at is doing that transcript analysis and looking at why you owe. And it could be just filing correct tax returns that lower that amount down and reduces the debt, reduces the interest, reduces the penalties, and it is in your favor for going through and doing it. Maybe the reason you owe is that you went through an IRS audit and you didn't have representation, and you tried to represent yourself, but nothing got accepted. And maybe you need to go back through and do a complete audit reconsideration to where it lowers the tax debt, because we get the expenses that you should have been able to get on your tax form reconsidered and accepted going through that audit reconsideration. We've done that many a times as well. So each situation is different, and we've got to look at each one. And there's not a cookie cutter approach to going through and doing this. It is specialized to you, utilizing every IRS program that's out there, and then modified by us looking at your financial situation to put together the right program for you, and even maybe changing your financial situation to benefit you within every IRS program out there as well.
Barry, I'm going to say something that's probably going to be the most important thing I say during your show. We're going on our 13th year with Ask the Experts, and we've, like I said at the beginning of the show, we normally do this by city or state. And so we've dealt with other tax resolution companies. And I got to tell you, because we researched through Yelp and Google, and I can't tell you how many companies out there, and some of the biggest ones, that you read the Yelp report and people who've actually hired them. And the biggest complaint that I saw on an ongoing basis was once they got your money, it was hard getting them on the phone again. And I got to tell you, I mean, if it's out there, I have never read a negative report on Taxation Solutions with all the research. And I'm not saying it's nothing out, but these other ones, there's just one letter after, don't hire this company. They sounded so good. The purpose of this show is that you don't get caught with a company like that. Taxation Solutions, I know how important customer service is to you, Barry.
Absolutely. I mean, our program is designed around keeping our clients completely informed, everything we're doing. So, we go above and beyond the communication side of it. We're in contact minimum every 30 days. A lot of times we're more often than that. Even when we have things that are taking time pending because we're waiting on the IRS, we're still in contact with our clients. I did have a negative review probably about a year ago. And it was a client that wasn't happy because he's seen all these ads for pennies on the dollar. And
yes,
we got him a settlement that he wasn't extremely excited about. But he did save about 75% somewhere out there. It just wasn't down to, the 5%. And it wasn't the number we were looking at. It ended up being a little bit higher than we projected that the IRS would be. But also as the IRS found some other assets that we were not aware of and he didn't disclose to us, which our number would have then been higher to where the IRS was. So we did get that one. I mean, the client after the fact said he understood and everything, but it's one of those things that does happen. I mean, that's why I'm very proud of our rating at the BBB being A+. I mean, you can check us out. Please do. I mean, I tell you, everybody, check out whoever you're going to hire. Make sure they're qualified. Make sure they're licensed. Make sure they've got the experience that we have in helping our clients, through this. That's what we always look forward to do.
Barry, we got a minute left. Let's give everybody your phone number as well as your website address.
All right. It's taxationsolutions.net. You can find us on Facebook as well, Taxation Solutions, Tax Relief. We have different cities all around the country that we offer help in. We can help you anywhere across the country, and it begins with a phone call to 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. It doesn't matter where you are in the country. If you don't have a tax problem, if maybe a friend does or a family member does, we can help them too. And don't be shy. Don't be worried. It's a no judgment zone. We're here to help at 877-996-6477. And as always, Steve, man, we love the Ask the Expert show. I love that we're nationwide.
Hey, we love you, Barry.
And talking with you.
Hey, Barry will be back again with us next month. Barry, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
Okay, bud. That's Barry Fowler. He's the president of Taxation Solutions. Make sure you put .net on that website. That's it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.